So I've been doing some testing, and this is something that's been bothering me for probably the majority of the time that I've been using DaVinci Resolve, and it's the color shift that you get between what you're seeing and what exports. So I ended up going down the YouTube rabbit hole and found a couple of things that um, looked like it would help, and it ended up solving two, maybe three problems that I was running into. And so I'm going to just kind of break this down as quickly as I can. And hopefully, this is helpful for some other people. So, this would be my normal workflow. I'll show you kind of what I do normally. I'll start a new project. I'll go into the media tab here. Let's just find something that I can. Here, we'll do this. No, I'm going to do that. We'll do this. I'll pull some of these videos in. And just so we don't have to listen to the time code, let's just take a short clip here and talk about this. All right, so this is my log footage right out of the Sony a7 IV. We're shooting in S-Gamut 3 Cine and S-Log 3. So what I would previously be doing is I would load everything up in the timeline. I'm going to switch this over to proxies. Generate proxies, and then here's all my footage. I'll edit the whole project, and then when it gets time to color, this would be my normal behavior. I'd come over, I'd add a handful of nodes. Just from my general workflow, I'm going to throw a CST on the front and the back. So I'll just label some of these for you. CST in and CST out. So from here, I'm going to put my input color space, which would be S-Gamut 3 Cine and S-Log 3. I like my timeline being in DaVinci YRGB, DaVinci Intermediate. Just feels like it gives me the most amount of information to work with. And then so my output color space is going to be DaVinci YRGB, DaVinci Intermediate. And then delivery is going to be to Rec 709 and Gamma 2.4. This would be my normal conversion. So before in log, and this is my converted through DaVinci YRGB to Rec 709. So this would just be my starting point. And then from here, usually I don't have to do much because the A7 IV and S-Log 3 is gorgeous as long as I expose properly. So everything looks good here. I've got some room on the blacks. I've got plenty of headroom on the highlights. So I would end up doing my base grade here, whatever that happens to be. Maybe I'll put some parallel nodes and do something like, we're just going to make this up real quick. Something here, and then I don't know, maybe we just grab one of these. Track that real quick. And just a horrible job, but you get the point. So this would be my color grade here. Before, after. And then some things that I would run into problems with were if I was going to, let's say, adjust some skin tones. And then normally what I would do is I would put a power window around the skin here so that I can isolate it. and then you see what happens. So as soon as I go into highlight and I want to look at my vector scope to see where skin tones are, I can't tell what's going on because all the saturation has been removed in the power window because the CST is bypassing it. So big problem there. Fortunately, I've kind of been lucky and not had to go too far with S-Log3 because the colors are great, but you can see the problem that I'm running into. Also, this takes not too long, but a fair amount of time to build that node tree and then copy to my other clips. So that's the problem that I've been running into. And so what ended up happening, yeah, and then there's my skin tone adjustment that has clearly pulled all of this in. But normally what I would do is grab a qualifier, qualify all the skin, and then you'll see kind of where it goes. But same thing, as soon as I go into highlight mode, everything is desaturated, and it's just more difficult to figure out what exactly is going on from a colors perspective. So now let me switch over to the new way that I found of doing things, which is has blown my mind. So I'm going to reset all of this, and then let's just kind of go back here. Let's see, I'll open that. So here is the new way. So we'll call this the new way. Here's my new way of doing things, which has been exceptional. So there's a couple of things that you need to take care of first. I'll show you what they are. First thing you need to do is go into your preferences under System, under General, and make sure if you're using a Mac that you want to check Use Mac Display Color Profiles for viewers. And then you also want to automatically tag Rec 709 scene clips as Rec 709A. So it looks like what Resolve has done is they have made a Rec 709A, A for Apple, and so it has adjusted for the picture profile. And let's say you're working on whatever computer you have, you're going to probably be in this P3 color space because that's going to be a really default color space for Apple. So you can see that both of my presets, this one's an XDR display, so it's P3 and it has more brightness, but there's also this, and then there's some of these other ones. But generally everything's going to be P3. So as long as you're in a P3 color space, then we're good. So those are your two things, display color profile for viewers and automatically tag Rec 709A. So that's your general settings. Then you also need to change your timeline settings. So when you go into your timeline settings, this is the part that's the magic. You want to go to color management and switch this from DaVinci YRGB to DaVinci YRGB color managed. It's going to automatically detect that, and you want to disable automatic. Go to your color processing mode and change this to custom. This is where the CST workflow kind of comes into place. So this is exactly what you would normally see on a CST. My input color space here, I'm going to go down to S, and you'll see that it already says SGamut 3 Cine / S-Log3. So that's taking care of both my input color space and gamma. The timeline color space for me, where I like working, is DaVinci Wide Gamut and DaVinci Intermediate. So that's that first conversion. And then my output color space is going to be Rec 709A because it's an Apple machine. I have saved this as a preset, so I can go in and also set it as my default preset, which is great, or I can load it per project. So right now I'm just loading it per project, but that's my Sony S-Log3 DaVinci Wide Gamut timeline setting. So I'm going to go ahead and load that preset. If you don't, then here you want to hit save, and now it doesn't look any different. However, if I go back into those video files, you'll see that nothing is in log anymore, even in the viewers. So let me just pull this one in and start a timeline. And then let me unlink this and get rid of the time cone beeps because that's obnoxious. And then let me just put this in proxies. All right, so here's my timeline. Everything has already been converted from log into DaVinci YRGB for my timeline color space, and then the output is already going to Rec 709A. I'm going to show you, I'm going to put a screenshot up somewhere in this area of what my previous projects would export looking like. And I'll probably take a screenshot of them in the timeline so you can see what I saw, and then the export version so you can see the color shift that happened. And then I'll do another one here where you will see it. There is no color shift. So this is everything beautifully converted over to Rec 709. Everything is nice and rich. When I go over to the color page, everything is already in, has been converted. So I no longer need a CST in or a CST out. So I can just start with whatever it happens to be. If I want to start with white balance, I can do that, and then maybe go to primaries, and then primaries, and then I'll go to saturation, and then maybe balance, and then blah, 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 blah. You get it. And then here's where things became like life-changing, is if I need to do a qualifier, and then maybe I'm selecting the red, when I go into the highlight, all of the color information is still there. So if I needed to qualify something like, I don't know, let's grab the blues. Maybe I want to change all of the blue. Just widen that up and grab all of the blue. Now I can actually see what the blue is looking like instead of having it all desaturate because it is overriding the CST on the way out. So huge win for me there was one, finding out that I can just set the timeline color space if I'm using the same picture profile on whatever camera or cameras I'm shooting at. Everything will automatically be converted in the timeline, and then all I'll have to do is my adjustments in the color space. So that was huge. And I figured it'd just be easier to make a short video than try to type all of this out, just because it's fairly complex. So if you do have any other questions about it, feel free to reach out to me in Slack, and then we can talk about it. But hope that helps. For me, game changer. If I'm loading in like 400 or 500 clips or more, everything in my timeline will already show in the color space that I would see as I export it with the conversion from log to Rec 709. Huge win. Again, color management, color manage, go to your custom processing, and then just set your parameters. If you know how to do a CST, this is the exact same thing, but it's just for the entire timeline. Huge win for me. So hopefully that helps. I'll put up some samples on the screen, probably in this area, and hopefully hopefully that helps you. But yeah, reach out if you need me.